Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dirt Grain Steel. We're going to continue on our 3D printed L2 Gleaner model, just like my real one in real life. Before we get started assembly, I know a lot of you have been waiting for the assembly process of this. We need to finish up a few small paint projects here. I learned a few things over the last week. Some new pictures have surfaced of L2 M2s leaving the Gleaner factory, and brought some interesting things to my attention. For one thing, I found out the feeder beater, which I painted silver here, is actually supposed to be orange. So I've got to repaint that orange. And then I found this picture. This is an M2 Gleaner, fresh out of the factory, on a rail car getting ready to be delivered to whatever town it was going to. But this just showed me a few things that needed painted black or painted silver. So I've already righted all those wrongs that I had. But thought this was an interesting picture of a brand new M2 Gleaner. Just show you how shiny they were from factory with the new galvanized and all that. Anyways, let's get started. What we need to do now, and that picture showed me, is the fuel tank should be white. So we're going to paint that white real quick. And we're going to paint the air conditioner unit white. And then we're going to detail our exhaust. And then we're ready for assembly. I know everybody's been waiting for that. So we are going to start assembling on this video. So let me get set up to paint that white. Okay, so the white we're going to be using is Model Master, and it is a classic white. So let's get that opened up here. These darn paper seals that they have on the bottoms of the caps, they like to stick. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this fuel tank all white, and then I think I'm going to paint a red fuel cap on it. I don't think they're originally red, but I think a red fuel cap would be a nice little touch. You know what? I'm going to grab a different brush. I don't quite like that one. I like this little wider brush here. There we go. Oh yeah, that's going to have us a happy little fuel tank here in a second. Now I need to repaint my fuel tank on my L2. It's getting kind of ugly. One of these days I'm going to get that repainted. But I always thought it was interesting that they went galvanized with the rest of the combine, and they painted the fuel tanks white. You'd think that maybe they would make a galvanized fuel tank for it, but you never seen that, and I don't know why. And on the real thing, compared to this model, this handrail, as you can see, is not tied up against the fuel tank in real life. There's a space between it. So we're going to have to do a little touch up here, because we'll probably end up getting a little bit of the white on the black. Just like right there, I'm a little bit shaky today. So I'm going to finish painting this. I don't want to get it all on camera because it just make the video way too long. So I'll finish painting the white, and then I'll do the air conditioner unit real quick. And then I'm going to determine what colors we're going to do the air breather and exhaust. And we'll get those painted up. And then we'll get that feeder beater painted the proper color. So now for the air breather. Mine on my machine looks white. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint it white. Might come back and try to detail the screen on it here a little bit with maybe a gray or something. But you can only do so much paint work in the 1/64th scale. I'm holding that too close to the camera, it might be a little blurry. I've been trying to do the best I can, but just come to realize there's only so much detail you can really get into. I need to go through, and I guess I missed these steps right here. They got a little silver paint on them, but that's okay, because I need to go back through and paint a little silver right here along the air conditioner unit. I noticed that I didn't get that right there, and kind of bothers me a little bit. So there's all our white painted. So we'll get this brush put over here in the acetone, get it cleaning up. But I definitely want to thank that one subscriber of mine that suggested putting the BBs in. That has been fantastic to keep my paint mixed up. Takes a lot less shaking. So let's grab this little brush here. Dry it off of my pants here. Get the acetone off of it. And we'll grab this feeder beater real quick. Now, the feeder beater housing also houses, well, this is actually your cylinder housing and everything. Your shelling is actually done all inside this housing. The feeder beater basically throws everything into the cylinder, and then your concave and your cylinder in here, this does all your shelling, throws it into the first rattle chain. The first rattle chain carries it up out of here into here. There's another rattle chain. This rattle chain carries it up. This is your separator rattle chain. This is your thresher rattle chain. This rattle chain carries it up and puts it on top of straw walkers, which are in here. The straw walkers shake it out the back, and your grain and all your smaller stuff falls onto the screens, and your fan here blows under the screens, blows all the chaff out, and then your grain falls out of the screens into either the return or the clean grain elevator. Clean grain elevator goes up to the clean grain hopper, and the return elevator runs it back up here next to the cab, and there's actually a little door you can reach out the window and you can get a sample out of the return. Once it comes back up, it slides down a tube and back into the thresher area and gets rethrashed and heads back through the combine. And that's how the return gets separated again. So I'll give you a little anatomy of a gleaner. Now, a Case IH combine works the same way basically, but you have a rotor, and this would actually be a feeder house, and there's just a drag chain that drags the material up to the distribution cone. When it gets in a distribution cone, the elephant ears on the end of the rotor start it into the rotor housing, and the rotor drags it up and rubs it on the concaves and keystock grates. The concaves do the shelling, and the keystock grates basically do the separation. It falls through the concave and keystock grates into the auger bed, and then the auger beds run it up to the there's a tray that kind of distributes the material out over the screens, and then it shakes over the screens and separates, and the fan of course blows the chaff out and everything else. And the stuff that comes out of the rotor that stays in the rotor goes through the chopper and directly out the back of the combine, because at that point it's already, everything is separated out of it that you want to keep in the combine. Now, John Deere combines, the old style cylinder type, are almost like the Gleaners minus the rattle chains. They do not have the rattle chains in them. Rattle chains are kind of a Gleaner thing, and no other combine really has that style of internals. Nowadays you have your hybrid combines, which are 2 cylinders and 2 rotors. Still no rattle chains in them. But the hybrids. My cousin's got one, a Kloss, but I've never been around one to fully explain exactly how they work. He can sit there and explain exactly how they work because he's had them for a couple years now and really understands them inside and out. But the idea of the hybrids is they can handle a little higher moisture grain than any other combine on the market. See, that's exactly how that should have looked from factory. So there we go. That's brand new. Okay, so we'll let this dry and then we'll start an assembly process. Okay, so this is where it gets a little interesting. I guess they want you to use, the way I'm understanding, they want you to use a 22 gauge stainless steel wire as the pin to hold the thresher housing to the combine body. But what I'm going to do is I have an axle that I took out of this Greenlight model tractor when I put these bigger tires on it. Them tires might be a little overkill, but anyways, it looks cool. So I'm going to take this axle, and that's what I'm going to actually use. So I took this little hand drill and I used it to clean the holes out here because they had some paint in them and stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up here, and I'm actually going to use this drill to help me line this up also. So there we go. That should use it like an alignment punch. So now we can take our axle and should be able to shove it right through there, hopefully. Maybe. Come on. I just went. Where'd my pliers go? The drill bit just went, so why won't this axle go? Come on. Well, I might have to drill it out a little more. Try it from this end though. Well, I'm glad it fits tight, but I didn't think it was going to fit this tight. There it goes. There it's. It's starting to come through the other side. I just don't want to break anything. Okay, there we go. It's just kind of the barbed ends of that axle. So there we go. Now we're that's assembled. Now we should be able to put our return elevator and auger in. That has to work inside that hole. Maybe we should have done this before we painted it. I'm going to do a little sand and then we'll get back at it. Okay, so once we got that worked in there, I realized that this wouldn't slide in and out, and this is kind of a telescopic tube. So what I done was it was actually full of residue from the process of 3D printing. So I just took my screwdriver, or my drill deal here, and kind of cleaned it out. And now this slides in and out, so we need this the opposite of that. Okay, there we go. So now we'll just work this back in here to where we had it. Perfect. Bring that back. And now this has to slide over this little peg here on this elevator. So let's see if we can get that on there without breaking anything. It wants to go. Oh, there it goes. So there we go. So we have our whole return system put together. So that, I don't know if we can, we might have to lube that up a little somehow. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our little side cuts here, and we're going to cut this pin off if they'll do it. Yep, they'll do it. I'm going to put a little glue on that to hold it in, but we need to cut it to length first. So there we go. Sweet. Okay, I'm going to get some more pieces out and we'll assemble some more. So the next thing we're going to assemble is the front axle. And I should have probably done this before I put the thresher housing on, but it can still be done. So it just simply goes under here. There are 2 holes in the front of the frame here, and it actually sticks in them corresponding holes. I'm gonna take my little Knipex pliers here and just draw it in. Perfect. Might need to roll it just a little bit. Twist it just a little there. There we go. So you might want a pair of pliers too, just to twist things and manipulate them a little bit. I think it looks good. So we're going to just go ahead and I'm just going to put a little doober of glue here. Just to, I'm not going to get too crazy, just enough to hold it in there. That'll work. That's a God's plenty. So this is just extreme power thick glue. I get it at Hobby Lobby. I love this stuff. I've been using it on my models. They also have a spray that accelerates the grab of this glue. I mean, you spray it on there and it instantly sets it up. It's pretty awesome. So you don't have to sit there and hold stuff. I don't have it out right now, but this stuff alone don't take long at all to set up. So that'll get down that crack and that'll super glue that to the front. Now we could, while we're at it, we could just move on to putting our rear axle on since we're under the combine already. So this has to fit in this back hole. Looks like I'm going to have to do a little cleaning up in that hole before I can put it on. So let me get that done. Okay, so I've done a little cleaning in that hole. I got it started in there. So I'm going to take my little Knipex pliers and I'm just going to simply press it in there. Now I'm not sure how far that's supposed to slide in. How far they intended it. Oh, I broke that tie rod in. Oops. I have to put a little glue on that. But I'll have to look at some pictures and see how far that looks. About pretty close to being right though, right there. Maybe a hair farther in. I don't really think it's supposed to. Probably about right there. I think that's where we're going to leave it. I don't know if it's supposed to shove all the way in, but that looks like pretty good. So I'm going to take a little glue and tack that back on. But get that a little straighter. So now it's starting to look like a combine. I think I'm going to do the cab last because of the smaller details on the cab. So let's get the unloading auger on. Let me get that set up. Okay, so I got the unloading auger on. I could never find the right piece to pin the auger to the unload tube in the hopper. So what I done was I took some copper wire that I have that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I took these pliers that I got that are made for bending loops and 90s and stuff in wire. I picked these up at Walmart. They're for jewelry. So what I done is I simply took this copper wire and I bent a 90-degree angle on it. Then I cut it to the proper length that I wanted, just like so. Made me a little L shape. Then what I done was I drilled the hole a little bit bigger in the unloading auger and I shoved that in, and with it in the relaxed position in its holder, I set that 90 degree to right there. So now the nice thing is when I pick the unloading auger up, that L shape gets caught underneath here and it prevents the auger from going any lower than that. Anything else I tried, it would go all the way to the ground. Well, now when it's on display and the auger's out, the auger is in the proper position. So works pretty good. I'm going to get that glued in so it can't move, and I want it to stay tight. Right now it slides a little bit because there's nothing holding it tight together. It's just a slide snug fit. So I'm going to get that glued up and then we'll move on. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start on the details of the clean grain hopper. So these are kind of like little hopper toppers basically. So the clean grain auger in the grain tank on a Gleaner lowers and rises with the rising grain and lowering grain in the hopper. And by doing so, it stays in the middle at all times and keeps the pile in the middle of the hopper. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually get this put in, and I'm going to leave mine in the raised position because I plan on, when I use this model, I will probably use it with a full grain tank. So this would be the position that it would be in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire and we're going to put it through here like so, like the real one has. It's hard seeing this little wire. I got to get it through there and through there. And then I'm going to glue all this together and just leave it in the up position is how I'm going to leave it. So I gotta hurry because for some reason the Filmora Go that I've been using for my video editing only lets me make about 27-minute long videos all of a sudden for some reason. So I found that out yesterday on the Diamond brush mower when we built the helmet for it, and I found that after the fact, so that's why that video became a two-part video, which it was never supposed to be two parts. It was supposed to be one part. So there we go. That's how it goes. So now all I gotta do is I gotta shape my wires the way I want them and cut off the excess and do a little gluing, and then this part will be done. So I'm going to shape them a little better with some pliers and glue this auger in. You're supposed to be able to put a pin down in there, I believe, but I haven't figured out how to do that. So I'm going to leave it in this position, which I kind of like it in this position because the extensions are up and they just look better when they're up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten them out a little bit and get them where I want them and glue them up solid. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so we got all of our hopper details done. Everything's glued up. I trimmed off the wire. Looks fantastic. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the mirrors that go on the cab. So what I done was Jess had this idea. We got some of these, I think they're called sequins or something. You get them at Walmart. You can stick them on stuff and they're like a little diamond. So what I done was I took one of the small ones. I peeled the adhesive back off of it. And I put it on the mirror bracket so it looks like a mirror. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dab a little super glue on there, or a little Mol glue here, just a little bit. We don't need much. And we're going to pick up that, oh shit, where'd it go? Son of a bitch. I'll have to get another one. Okay, so we got our hopper details done. Looks fantastic. I love the way it turned out. I trimmed off the wire. Now I'm moving on to some of the cab details. So I got the bracket for the mirror, and Jess had this idea. Let's get some of them sequin things, or fake diamonds, or whatever they call them. You get them at Walmart. So I've been taking these and I'm sticking them on the mirror bracket. Well, with some glue. I got some glue on there. So I'm going to slide that across onto there, and voila. It looks like a concave mirror, or convex mirror, whatever they, convex, because they're out, and that's what the old Gleaners have on them. So I'm going to let them dry, and then we'll glue them to the sides of the cab, and then we'll try to get the cab on yet in this video. So let's let that glue dry for a second. So while that glue is drying, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put our cab on. So we're going to glue right here. We're going to squirt just a little bit of glue, and right here. And we'll put some on the back here. And then we're going to simply slide this cab in right in place. We're going to hold it down. And there we have our cab glued to our combine, which is looking beautiful. God, I love this thing. This thing's awesome. Look at that. It's going to be so cool when it's finished. We're not going to get to tires and rims tonight. we'll leave that for the next episode because I still got the head to paint for it, which I'm just gonna, for now, I'm gonna paint a Gleaner head, but I am going to find out if somebody 3D prints a 1083, or not 1083, that's an 8-row, 1063 IH head for it, like mine in real life. So that's what we got so far. And we can get our mirror brackets glued on, which I believe this is this side. Okay. Now, like I said, I gotta hurry because I don't want to run out of time because I don't want to make 2 videos out of this. There we go. So we'll glue this one on and we'll call this video done. There we go. So we'll let that glue dry and then she'll be done. So anyways, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you like this episode of Dirt Grain Steel, give me a like and subscribe. We are almost done with this model, and I plan on buying another one and doing another one. So we will be doing more of these, which these are awesome. I enjoy doing them. It's a nice relaxing thing to do on a Sunday evening or just an evening after work when I'm feeling bored. So, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are enjoying watching me build these. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.